Hi all, let's do something a bit lighter than the topics I've covered recently, and watch a video together made by Inspired Walk, who claims that he has 10 questions atheists cannot, in big capital letters, answer. Let's jump on in.
Do you really believe that science is the only answer to all of life's questions?
No, but I do think that science is a shit ton better than old manuscripts written by primitive humans for answering questions pertaining to reality. What does this question have to do with atheists anyway? You can be an atheist and be scientifically illiterate. I always find it ironic that so many theists put out material trying to undermine science, while doing it on machines that were invented by people employing the scientific method. Priceless.
If God doesn't exist, why do you care if people worship him?
I'm glad you asked, man. I don't. Not really. What I do care about is theists using their religion to screw with our legal and educational systems. I care that some people use their holy texts to justify throwing gays off roofs, to discriminate against gays, to treat women like second-class citizens, and or promote their creation myths in classrooms as if they're fact. You know, small things like that.
Seriously, can nothing create something?
I'm not the one that believes that. You're the one that believes an immaterial, invisible, supernatural force that resides outside of space and time, which would ironically mean it doesn't exist at all, are the one who believes that. I just don't buy into your story.
If you've never been to the ends of the earth, if you've never been to every planet, if you've never been to every part of the universe, how do you know that God doesn't exist?
If you've never been to the ends of the earth or every part of the universe, how do you know that invisible, all-powerful, fire-breathing dragons don't exist? See how silly that line of reasoning is? Demonstrate that your God exists by providing evidence for his existence, and I'll believe you. Until then, you have all your work ahead of you, my friend.
What is the origin of life?
I don't know, and neither do you. You just arrogantly proclaim you know based on your book. By the way, there are millions of other people with their own book who think you're wrong because their book told them so.
If humans are animals, then where does our sense of justice, where does our sense of morality, where does our sense of what's right and what's wrong come from?
Ugh, it comes from us. That's why we see different laws and moral codes around the world. Exactly what you'd expect if morality wasn't objective and universal. We use empathy and reasoning to create morality. Even if your God existed, what makes its morality correct? Because it supposedly told you in a book? How did it come to that conclusion? Did it subjectively choose what it thinks is right and wrong? I know being told what to think by an ancient book is easier than thinking for yourself, but you might want to try sitting down and questioning your book and what you've been told by other people who believe in the exact same God you do.
If you were given irrefutable evidence that the God of the Bible is real, would you become a Christian?
Probably not. I would believe in your deity, but honestly, the deity depicted in your holy book is so blood-drenched and horrible that I wouldn't be able to worship it. It would go against my moral codes to follow such a being.
Tell me something. If evolution is real, and if evolution is really happening, how come there are no transitional forms that we can observe?
There are. Even a moment of research on your part would show you this. But I'll leave a few links in the description box in case you're genuinely curious about transitional fossils.
Do you live according to what you believe, or do you live your life according to what you lack in belief?
Strange question, and so far, I'm not sure why you thought these questions could not be answered. I live according to what I believe, not what I don't believe. Same as you.
If God doesn't exist, and the Christian dies, the Christian loses nothing. But if God does exist and you die as an atheist, do you not lose more? Will you not lose your soul?
What do you mean you don't lose anything? You would have spent your entire life chained to a deity that doesn't exist. You likely would have lost money to the collection plate, time worshipping a being that doesn't exist. You may be emotionally abused by your indoctrination and made to accept that vicarious redemption through a human sacrifice is something you should feel guilty about. Or perhaps you lived in emotional turmoil, afraid of being tortured for eternity by this supposedly loving God. No, if your God doesn't exist, you will have lost a lot of resources, time, and emotional investment. If one of the thousands of other gods invented by human beings happens to be the correct God, you'll be punished just like me. There's a happy thought, right?
Hebrews chapter 11 verse 3 says, by faith we understand that the universe was created by the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible.
That's nice, bro. I'll take evidence, please. I don't do invisible, hear and believe nonsense. Anyhow, I'm done with this video. Thanks for watching, take care, and cheers.